Whoa. Welcome to Numb Bills Fan Media. This is a Bills-Chiefs AFC Championship game preview. Alright, cool. I'm David Palermo, here with you always. I first off want to thank everybody who's followed along for the season, prior, whatever it is. Different workflows over the years. Started as a podcast to have a longer form conversation. And if you remember what media was like back then, it sucked. There wasn't a million podcasts about the Bills. You had Cover One starting up with some film stuff. You had Kevin Masseri with Building the Herd. He had another one about Buddy Nick something, so he might have been one of the early ones. Even Sal Majorana of the DNC had one. Sal Capaccio had a podcast, and that's how I found him. And I'd press refresh on Sal's podcast all the time, hoping he'd have one. So started when Rex Ryan came to town because I thought it'd be really fun. And as Bills fans, we learned a lot about football. So this year, if you've been playing along, I started out really negative because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of being lied to bad. Lie to me better. So when the Bills got rid of Diggs, you didn't replace Diggs until Amari Cooper, which then took defenses paying attention to somebody. It all made sense. Then everybody really ate. Or at least snacked, we could say, right? So now the Bills, here they are. It's all about chess. The media for years, as we know, wants to promote, say, for the older crowd, my age crowd, Peyton Manning, right? Well, when you look at the quarterbacks that win the Super Bowl, they're not always the best ones. And the fact that the Bills have Josh Allen, they sent Diggs away. Josh Allen is doing what he needs to do. He's operating anything he needs. And oh, by the way, the Bills have 3 running backs and a rookie in Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, fast vet, and James Cook is what we thought we'd get rookie year because he's actually been getting reps the last 2 years, and he's been awesome. Like, who would have thought, right? So we're playing chess, and the Chiefs are bad at the tight ends. It's stopping them, like number 31, something like that, maybe very bottom. I forgot all the stats. I definitely check out Cover One. They cover this stuff in depth. So does Locked On Bills with Joe Marino. That's kind of what I put on throughout the week. If you want an opinion, I like to show up in Bulldog. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Kevin Masseri has one. And check that out on Twitter. It's from Built in Buffalo. I forgot what it's called. It's like the Deep End or something. That might be Shope's other podcast. Or Going Deep. That's Kevin's. They're both deep, okay? So, the Deep End podcast, I believe, is fantasy sports. And that's Shope from Mike and Shope or whatever. I don't know why I'm rambling. But I like to give my sources. This is just like the greatest hits of what I find interesting during the week. So, essentially, Dalton Kincaid didn't play last week. Dawson Knox did. Or last game against the Chiefs, all right? And the Bills pulled it out. They did what they do in the regular season against the Chiefs. Now, the NFL has been laughing in people's faces when and making commercials saying, oh, you think the league is scripted? It's like, maybe after a while we do. Maybe it's not the script, but as a Bills fan in the drought, watching the Patriots really close and watching the Bills need one play to win one game to get in the hunt, to get into the playoffs that we wanted, you learn a lot about football. What's the defensive tackle's job? What's the defensive end's job? So now, when everybody's trying to say, oh, it has to do with the quarterback, we got this Ryan Clark race division between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen he's trying to stir up. It's so fucking stupid. Such a waste of your time. Marcellus Wiley and Jason Whitlock have been calling this out. And those guys, I'm glad they left Fox or whatever the fuck happened with Joy Taylor because now, finally, people can talk how they want, which is all I search for. I can't watch the Nick Wrights of the world. He's a fucking clown. And then you hear, oh, his podcast is really in-depth. No, he's shock jock, dumbass. And then, oh, he's really in-depth. Yeah, we know what he's doing. Over it. So a lot of the content creators from the Buffalo area or that cover the Buffalo team are pretty freaking good. So I'll put cover one. I'll put Lockdown Bills. Kevin Maseri, the Going Deep podcast, he's got some deep stats, like things I think about to add into the opinion and the simple logic of football is, as dumb as it sounds, chess. But it's also very complex. So when I look at the refs over the years, and the NFL is waking up to it, that we know that something can happen with like 10 minutes left in the game, for example, right? Down 2 scores. That means if you have the ball and it's third down and your team, you need to get that third down, and then all of a sudden something happens off a good play and now you're punting. Well, what about the inverse? You need the ball back. You're going against a team like the Chiefs, about 10 minutes down. What happens? Oh, some holding call. And then we're just talking about this holding call, right, for the moment of that game. And maybe they got another score, so now you're down 3 scores. The game's over. We're not going to look. We're trained to think more 2 to 3 to 4 minutes before the end of the game. Not what led up to it. So now the NFL has a different officiating crew. I don't know the stats. Of course, I saw it on a social media reel. But something about this crew, I believe, actually favors the Bills. And the crew that the Chiefs usually have at home isn't there. I don't know what that means, okay? But the fact that there's more storylines about the referees than the Chiefs getting a three-peat tells me the NFL wants the Chiefs to win the game. That's just me. I think smart marketing dollars, on the flip side, I guess I could say I'm contradicting myself. I like to look at everything all the way around. You're the NFL, you want to make money. Players want to make money too, okay? But a lot of us will agree the calls of Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs are redonkulous. But there is a stat out there this year that there's been more calls favoring the Bills in these situations than the Chiefs. That's flopping. And I don't like seeing Josh Allen and these players flopping. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. I hated LeBron James doing it, where he'd be like, yeah, I'm hard. It's like, dude, no, you're not. You just flopped the previous play. Now you dunked on somebody. Pick one. Well, it's gamesmanship. It's stupid. I get it. But, oh, cool. You get to the Super Bowl because you flop with 10 minutes left. Great. That's like the last thing I want to see. So, it's a little peculiar that the three-peat is the lesser story right now than the refs. Everybody's talking about the refs. When it's out there, it's all at once. It's a little weird. Even Keon Coleman covering the light switch over here. Got to prove it to everybody. There's a light switch. That's right. Even Keon Coleman knows. Yo, this is garbage. And Keon Coleman has been left up here as a metaphor of don't bullshit me about his cool fucking jacket for 6 months till he ends up in training camp and starts making some plays and you still don't have a number one receiver, that this guy's it. Which brings me into my next topic, Xavier Worthy. It's where I have to eat some crow. I have to own it. Xavier Worthy. I was pissed. The Bills have no one fast. We got these tight ends, and Ken Dorsey wanted Kincaid or signed off on it, and we called Josh to check in on it, and you're fucking stupid if that's what you're doing. Okay, so I don't buy those stories that the Bills put out there, and I feel bad, excuse me, a little burp, for the Bills players, staff, that's just how the NFL goes. Xavier Worthy can take the lid off of defense. I'm just looking at it like, can we run a streak, and then we have this open area for all the slow guys? So the Bills decide to get Keon Coleman. And I'm like, okay. And it's in the second round. And they traded with the Chiefs. So here we are. I'm not going to lose it if Xavier Worthy makes some plays. I don't think he's going to. That said, I'm a little concerned about the safeties. We have Cole Bishop, rookie, starting because Taylor Rapp is out. DeMar Hamlin, I don't think he's smart at football. I'm sorry. It's not clicking. I had a lot of hope for him. Talked about it last podcast, other podcasts. I don't have the hope right now, okay? So, here's what I love about Keon Coleman. And it's because watching the Bills and the Rams game, there was a quote from a commentator or something, and they were talking about receivers for Sean McVay. They hope they grade horrible or bad at the combine so they fall in the draft. And for the Bills to pass on Xavier Worthy, I'm not a nihilist. I'm just, again, sick of being lied to, half-assed, okay? I bought all the Bills PR for years. Go check. There's game tape. That's the whole point of these takes. If you want to talk shit, at least I lay out the game tape. You probably fucking don't. You probably don't answer my calls. Or if you do, we can interview you here and see what crow you eat or not, and that's cool. But I'm eating crow on Xavier Worthy because Keon Coleman makes a point of what they said during the broadcast of the game. Whoever said it said that McVay hopes they fall or don't test out well because they look at the game tape and they fall in the draft. And I feel like with the way Josh Allen plays chess, which is Josh Allen, the play breaks down, you get more time because you have play number 2. Meaning if this dude's a basketball player in Keon Coleman, super athletic up here, can find the ball very well. That's what you want when the play breaks down. You want a guy who's cerebrally smart and can find open space. And that's what Keon Coleman did. I don't like the first 6 months of, a hooks, like his jacket and stuff. I think that's just unnecessary, stupid pressure on the kid. You could talk about something else for the Bills brass public relations team out there. I think it's dumb, corny, and it adds pressure to the player. So the Bills worked out. When you get Amari Cooper, here we are. Bills are playing chess now. So with the tight ends being a threat to the Kansas City defense, well, KC also blitzes a lot, so there's more open lanes. That said, my favorite Bills offense this year, selfishly, has been when they don't have 2 tight ends out there. When Mac Hollins is in there, or another receiver, and even though Mac Hollins might play a role blocking downfield and all that in the tight end spot, according to Lockdown Bills, I just listened to, of course, right? Because, like, I know this. Like, I sat down with the tape. Get the fuck out of here. Joe Marino does a great job. It makes sense. So now Samuel is healthy looking. It looked good against Baltimore. That said, sitting on the game for a bit, the weather affected the Philly game. It affected the Bills game. And both teams won. Or not won, but like, how do I say it? The offense wouldn't be the same. It's not the same game if we're in an indoor stadium. And I get that's what football's about. That's my favorite part about it, is make adjustments. People are on Mark Andrews, and maybe Lamar Jackson didn't throw the right pass. Maybe he should have zipped it in there. Maybe that ball on Andrews' end is a little slippery. Maybe there's ice on it, But now everybody has a fucking opinion on the internet, including me, and they haven't ever caught an icy ball outside. I would go outside and play basketball. We'd shovel off the driveway, and my fingernails would start bleeding from the cold, because you catch the ball, does the thing. Same with the football in your backyard football, whatever the shit. I didn't wear gloves playing backyard football. My measurables were not good. Still not good. Anyways, I could see Josh Allen doing a lot against this Kansas City team. I really can. And if you're looking at the chess, the Bills have everything wide open. You want to leave Amari Cooper open? I don't think you do. He don't care. He seems so selfless. He's saying all the right things in the media about not caring about targets. I hope the Bills bring him back at 31. I hope they do. He's been a beast forever. Let him do his thing here. Why not? He's cheap. He's good. He's a good locker room guy, it seems. He's happy with his role. And that's what you need. I hate when the media, like we started earlier, starts talking about quarterback this quarter. Oh, you just need a quarterback. Yeah, you do. You do. But the media makes it way more because Peyton Manning had great teams, and here comes a fucking Rex Ryan with Mark Sanchez punching him in the mouth. In the playoffs, knocked off Peyton Manning. In the playoffs, knocked off Tom Brady. So now with the Chiefs and the Bills defense, what am I worried about? I'm worried about Chris Jones, number 95. Chris Jones sat out last season, game 1, during a contract dispute. They signed that contract after the Chiefs lost that game. And not for nothing, he played after. And that was, when you're looking at refs maybe tilting games or doing some weird fugazi shit, I think a lot of those games are hit or miss. The Chiefs did not look good, and they squeezed it out. At the end of the day, back to the drought talk, we watched good teams win against the Bills when the Bills could not close. And the Chiefs are great closers. Chris Jones is an animal. Defensive tackle, moves around. I don't know what to tell you besides he's an animal. The counter, the Bills' offensive line coached by Aaron Kromer, been shouting this guy out, hated that Sean McDermott did not retain him, and he went to LA to the Rams. Hated that. But the Rams won the Super Bowl that year 1. Todd Gurley and that offensive line sucked the year prior. Had a podcast with an LA Rams fan, diehard, in the offseason that year. A few years later, Cromer's back. He comes back to offensive line pieces that were here from Bean Scouting and Company. Cody Ford got cut or whatever, traded. He was not on the team after a bit when Kromer was here. So that tells you if it takes this long for the offensive line to get this good, and Spencer Brown's playing out of his mind, Deion Dawkins playing out of his mind, these Anderson playing out, all these guys, we're talking about Anderson, an old lineman being like the heart and the drive. I like it because when you're really following the game of football, which we had to learn as Bills fans the hard way, if your trenches suck, your team's going to suck. If your players can't do their 111th, and yes, I did like Diggs when he was here. I think, he makes fucking plays. Give him the ball. But if you're going to, phase him out and then throw a ball to him at the end of the game in the playoffs finally, when he was phased out for a few games, it felt like, it sucks. It just seems stupid. I don't know if the Bills, their nuts cramp up or what in the playoffs those years. But I think it's unfair to the player in Diggs that meme goes around where he had a chance and he didn't catch the ball. That's great. Because the Bills sucked without Diggs here. They did. They didn't do shit without Diggs here. And this year, they're playing better. Who would have thought? I wouldn't have thought that. They're playing the best offense I've ever seen from a schematic chess team. As far as the Chiefs defense with Spagnuolo, they're very good. Very, very good. We already know what the Chiefs can do to the Bills offensively. I don't think Pat Mahomes sucks. He's a playmaker. Travis Kelce finds space. Okay? He's also going to man Hamlin right in the fucking mouth. Okay? He's going to dad him. I'm worried about these safeties over the top. I'm worried about the Bills getting behind. I'm paranoid Bills fan right now for this segment. What am I worried about with the Bills? Welcome to everything. What could go wrong? I don't know. Maybe the players are buying the hype. No, doubt it. I think they're laser focused. Offensive line we talked about is playing out of their mind. Do I think something can happen with that? No. The team blitzes a lot, and the Chiefs, maybe they blitz to stop the run. If that you get what I'm saying, load aside, whatever that means. I'm not a football junkie. I'm just a guy who liked Tecmo Bowl, and I kept following it, and my dad maybe bet on it, and likes the Vikings. So that's how I got into it. And I wondered how the fuck the Bills suck for so long. So it was like a science project. Here we are. And the Bills can go to the Super Bowl? Okay. I will gladly take a Bills offense that could do anything than a defense with holes. And that's what I thought we were always going to do with Josh Allen. Finally, they're doing it. And it's better than ever because, again, the O-line's playing out of its mind. The skill positions are all more than snacking. Okay? You have a guy like Matt Collins making plays on special teams, making cool little videos to show you how to put equity in your house and not be a loser, and also making plays as a wide receiver. That's cool. Didn't know he had that in him. Well, we do now. Because, again, just like the guy covering the light switch and Keon Coleman, the media had to talk about this fucking dude without shoes. Who gives a fuck? Is it funny? Sure. But, like, again, the more that's clogged in there, the less we're looking at the flaws of the team. I get it. But there's actual fans who like the chess of it. So that's why I say Lockdown Bills, Cover One, Going Deep podcast, all those right there. And then some segments on your WGR. They get great guests too from an analytical national point of view. And it's not just hot takes, because hot takes suck. So what do I think? I genuinely believe the Bills are going to win and go to the Super Bowl. There's a 10% to... Okay, there's a 40% of me that thinks the Chiefs win. And here's how. It's very simple. I think the Bills just get behind. They have not shown to me that they can get behind a couple scores against a serious team and win the game. They cramp up. I don't know if it's the coaching. I covered 13 seconds many times in these things, as in, like, it's a little peculiar when you look at rigging games and all sorts of stuff, and McDermott takes over 13 seconds. And people could be screaming right now, dude, you're telling me that McDermott purposely blew the game? You ever see, like, The Godfather or any of these movies? Or there's a book called Interference where it talks about the FBI being involved in investigations, and they find out that some of these games are a little bit fixed over the years. People think that just stops. No, the media just calls you crazy if you dare think like that. And if the game is rigged, they're going to think it's one certain way. All right? Now, all these refs are being brought up. We talked about, so we'll close with this. Too many people are going to be looking for that call. Okay? And the Chiefs fans are going to bitch if the Bills win. The Bills fans are going to bitch if the Chiefs win. And I have always been about that with these refs. But I've woken up that they do not want to solve the issue. The more we talk about the refs, it's marketing now. The NFL is actually leaning into it. So there's not going to be any blatant calls. Because remember, the Rams, when they went to the Super Bowl, Nicole Roby-Coleman against the Saints in the championship game. Blatant pass interference. Look it up. You remember it. Wasn't called. And the refs all just, oh man, And I used to not like Troy Aikman and Joe Buck calling games. But the more I look at it and listen to them, they're talking to me in a tone that I like, which is, oh, here we go. Here's the nonsense. They're jaded with it too. A lot of these older heads in the sports broadcasting world are calling it how they see it. And I think it's just a little peculiar that we're not talking about the Kansas City Chiefs going for 3 Super Bowls in a row. 3 Super Bowls in a row. What's that tell me? They want the refs as a story. That said, I see the Bills winning. My Bills fan in me sees the Bills winning by a touchdown. Okay, maybe not. By a point. I have no clue. I don't even know why you're here. Thanks for subscribing. Tell your friends. TikTok, Instagram, whatever, for like little short clips and call to action to this one. Thank you for following along. It's really fun. Just pour my heart out here. Okay. Tell you what I think and don't think as a nice little hobby. Take care. I'm David Palermo. Toodles.